So I like to buy expensive books, and most of the time I have no regrets about that. But you don't have to spend a lot of money to develop a nice library. So today I'm going to show off a thrift haul that I have from my recent shopping trip and hopefully give you guys some inspiration on what you can find out there if you look. So the first book that I have here is called The Book of Gothel, and this is a relatively new fantasy release. It came out in 2022, and it's a origin story about the villain in Rapunzel. You can see this is a nice new hardcover edition. It has deckled edges, which for those of you who don't know is what it's called when a book has sort of ruffled or ragged page edges here. Some people like it, some people really hate it. I'm kind of indifferent personally. The next one that I have is called Maps and Legends. This is a non-fiction book by Michael Chabon, who is a writer. This is a book of essays that he's written on reading and writing and culture, which sounds interesting, but the main reason I picked it up was actually the really interesting cover design. It has here sort of a three-part dust jacket. So I'll try and show you now. So at the bottom we have the blue, and you take that off and you can see more of the green one underneath. And then you take the green off and you can see more of the yellow underneath. And when you take the yellow off, you can see the black hardcover here, and it reveals another design underneath there. So I thought that was a very cool and unique design. I'll put them back on now, I guess. Okay, and the next one, or the next two that I have here, are two books by Agatha Christie. And they're part of something called the Agatha Christie Murder Collection, which is a series of her novels that have all been published in matching bindings here. This is black leatherette, and you can see the embossing on the front with a profile of Agatha Christie and the name of the book. So I picked up Murder on the Orient Express, which I've read, and then There Were None, which I haven't read. They also have the same patterned end papers here that matches between the different volumes. The next one I have is a hardcover copy of A Dance with Dragons. Not too much to say about this one. I've read it before, of course, but I just have a kind of beat up, sad looking paperback cover, so this one will look a little bit nicer on my shelf. Okay, the next book I have here is Children of the Night by Dan Simmons. Now, I'm a fan of vampire novels, and this is one that I haven't read before, so I'm looking forward to giving it a try. I also like that it has a map on the end pages. A book gets bonus points from me if it has a map at the beginning. And the next one that I have here is actually a comic book. Now, when I was a teenager, I read quite a few comic books, and my favorite character was Wolverine, but I haven't read one in a long time, so I found this one in the thrift store called The Marvel Universe versus Wolverine, and I decided to revive an old hobby of mine and give it a try. This little book that I found. It's called The Benson Murder Case, and it's by S.S. Van Dyne. It's part of the Collectible Crime Classics series, and I just thought it was such a cute book. You can see here the entire cover is covered in golden foil. There's also golden gilt on the page edges as well as a golden bookmark. So it's a very cute little book. If I see more of this series, I'll definitely pick them up. The next two books that I have here are both by Emma Donoghue. The first one here is Room, which I read several years ago. It's a very sad but very well told story. And because I enjoyed that one, I also picked up a hardcover of a newer book by her called The Wonder. I believe this one was recently made into a Netflix movie, so I'll give it a go when I have some time as well. And next up, I actually bought not one, but two different editions of The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. The first one is part of the Reader's Digest Classic series that has been discontinued now, but Reader's Digest used to publish these hardcover editions, unabridged, of various classics. They're always naked hardbacks, and they have sort of a faux leather along the spine and then cloth for the rest of the hardback. They always have different designs, and they're almost always illustrated inside as well. I have a whole collection of these, and I pick them up whenever I find them in a thrift store. Here's some examples of the illustrations you can see in this one. I'll show a quick photo of my shelf where I have my collection of these so you guys can see how nice they look all together. And then the second edition of part of Paper Mill Press's Flexibound series of classics. So a Flexibound book is really cool. It's something sort of halfway in between a hardcover and a paperback book. So they're nice and flexible, as you would think from the name, and quite durable. The front of these editions usually has the name and a design in some color of foiling. And they also all have a ribbon bookmark in a matching color. I'll quickly show you my copy of Jane Eyre that is also part of this series, just so you can see how they look similar and how they look together. And that is it. That was my thrift haul for this weekend. I'm quite pleased with it, and I hope that this will inspire you guys to try some thrifting of your own. Not all of your books have to cost $200.